All right, folks, what we have here is a 2008 Honda Accord. Went ahead and took the wheel off. Searched the internet far and wide on how to replace the rear struts. As you can see here, I've already replaced mine. Did it yesterday, spent some time trying to figure out how to do it. Searched, like I said, I searched the internet far and wide, couldn't find a video or any instructions. To preface the video, we want to go ahead and when we jack up our car, want to utilize jack stands, put the park and brake on, wheel chocks and everything. So for first step, what we do is we pull this lever here, push down the back seats. As you can see, I've already done that. Don't mind the mess. You want to take out this section here that runs all the way up and down. You lift up the back seat here, and you could see up under there's a 10mm bolt that holds down that section. It's down in there. Just got to search for it. It's kind of right there, right about here under there. Take that bolt out. You'll be able to pick this up and slide it out. Okay, once you get that out, there's a little piece, this piece right here. Okay, pop that off with a flathead and you'll be able to access the two upper nuts. They're 14mm nuts to take out this strut. Now, you don't want to take those nuts off just yet. All right, you want to be able to get to them later on when you need to take them off. So here's, you got your whole assembly for the rear. Okay, other side is pretty much identical to this. Obviously, it's just mirror image. So first thing I did was took this bolt off here. Okay, we're going to call these bars for the purposes of this video. Took that off. It's a 14mm. Okay, you got another one down here. Took that off. It was a 14mm. And then you've got one more hiding up under here. That right there is the other end of that bar. All right, that's also a 14mm. So you're going to take that bar completely off. Now, once you've got that bar off, this whole, I apologize. Then you're going to have to use, for that nut right there, that's the bottom part of the linkage. Okay, you're going to have to use, I believe it was a 5 or 5.5 milliliter Allen key. And then that bolt is a 14mm. I'm sorry, the nut is a 14mm. So you take that off. You're going to have to force that linkage out because this sway bar kind of puts some pressure on it. Okay. Now, once you got that out, you got to be careful with that sway bar because when you push down on this whole assembly here, this bracket here for the brake line is gonna push up against this sway bar. What I did was, though, I kind of forced that sway bar on the other side of that bracket so that I had more leverage to push down on this whole unit. Okay. On this is the driver's side. Okay. So on this driver's side, the head of the bolt for the bottom portion of the strut here, okay, that's what that is. That's a 17mm. You're gonna need a 17mm. Take that all the way out. Now, what I did was I took a breaker bar. If you got a crowbar, something of that nature, I'm sure that would help as well. All right, probably shouldn't have. I used my foot down here to help me push this whole piece down. I was wearing tennis shoes at the time, and then I stuck the sway bar, or I'm sorry, the breaker bar up under here and pushed down on this whole unit here. All right, you can see the little wear and tear on the top of this ball joint here where I used it. A couple scratches on the control, the A-arm. So I did that to pry it out. Now, once I got this strut on the other side of the A-arm, I went upstairs and I took off the nuts. Okay. Once I took those nuts off, this whole piece was able to come out. Now, to put it back in, it's going to be the exact reverse order. You're going to put the top bolts through the holes up there, and you could barely see right there. The holes kind of go here this way. So you want to put them in like that, line them up, put the two nuts on top. Again, those are going to be 14mm. And then what you do is you rest the bottom of the strut here right about there on the A-arm, because if you do it anywhere else, it's gonna straddle this A-arm. I learned that the hard way. That's why I got these scratches here. If you kind of rest it here, you grab that breaker bar, put it in there, pry it like that, it'll slide right back on there. Okay, I learned that the hard way, folks. And then I found it easier to you put these bars back on. I put this one on, I put that in on first, and then I was able to slide this one back on here, up there, put that bolt in. Then I put this one back on. Okay, I had to kind of tap it back into line. And then last but not least, I put the linkage back on, okay, using that Allen wrench and the 14 millimeter, all right. And then the last thing I did was I just put that, I used the same bolt that was already in there, slid that back all in there. I didn't look up the torque, the recommended torque. I just kind of did them all hand tight with box wrenches and ratchet and sockets. So that's basically it. And then once you're done with all that, come up here, you tighten down those 14 millimeter through that square right there. You can see it right there a little bit better. Tighten that down. A lot of places they recommended you take this whole piece off, but this is all right here, all this back piece, and it was just too much. I could access it through here, and my big old hands, I'm 6'6", 300 pounds, so if I could do it, I'm sure you can. And then I just slid this portion back on, put that 10 millimeter, that's a 10 millimeter bolt down there, slid that back on, and everything was a-okay. All right, so I was able to figure that out for you. The first one took me about 3 hours to change out. The second one only took me maybe 45 minutes. I've been able to find on the internet that the front is a little bit easier than the back side, so I'm going to do the front tomorrow. Hopefully I'll upload that video in time where I can help you guys out. Again, this is an 8th generation Honda Accord, 2008 to 2012. So I figured I'd post this up. As I said, I couldn't find it anywhere. Everybody was doing the 03 to 07 and couldn't find anything in our generation. So if you got any questions, comments, concerns, any tips or anything, how to make this easier, if you found another way to do it, by all means, go ahead and comment. Let me know what you think. And good luck, guys.